If you want the New York Knicks to re-sign Josh Hart, go ahead, hit that thumbs up icon right now. Welcome into Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm Marshall Green. In today's show, we're talking about Josh Hart. One of the best, if not the best in my opinion, move at the NBA trade deadline amongst all of the NBA teams. The Knicks, they traded that protected first-round pick this year that will go to Portland. Obviously, Cam Reddish went in that deal as well. Josh Hart came back to the New York Knicks, and the Knicks really took off when Hart became a member of this squad. And in today's show, we're going to talk about what he had to say in a sit-down interview with Taylor Rooks over on Bleacher Report. Josh Hart said in that interview that he is going to decline his $12.9 million player option and become a free agent. And this is a thought that we've said is going to happen on this channel. We've talked about how Josh Hart is going to decline that player option, but when you actually hear it from Josh Hart, you can actually talk about it. So he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, but he did say he wants to re-sign with the New York Knicks. We'll talk about some quotes on that coming up in a second. But he also talked about to Taylor Rooks that he's recruiting some players that went to Villanova to come and play with the New York Knicks. And we'll talk about two guys that I think, or one guy I for sure know he's talking about, and another guy that I think everyone knows that he's talking about. But he said he wants to be a Knick, and he is expecting to be a Knick, and he loves being a Knick. This is what Josh Hart had to say about his upcoming free agency. He said, I love New York. I love the team. I love the coaching staff, the front office that we have. We got young guys, draft picks, all those sorts of things. Obviously, that would be an ideal place for me to just re-sign and do that. Everything is perfect. On the court, off the court, with family being close to home, doing all of those kind of things. Fingers crossed, when free agency starts, a deal will get done hopefully in the first day or two. I would love for that to be home. And I would love it. And I think a lot of people would love for Josh Hart to be a New York Knick yet again, and probably for a long time, and maybe for Josh Hart to retire a New York Knick. And this honestly seems like it is a done deal. I'm going to be honest with you. With Josh Hart being a CAA client, having the relationship with Jalen Brunson, Rick Brunson, and the Knicks front office, I wouldn't be surprised if when this trade went down back in February, that there was a handshake agreement that Josh Hart was going to re-sign with the New York Knicks. And now that Josh Hart has pretty much said that he wants to re-sign with the Knicks, it's just up to being able to get a deal done, and hammering out the details is what's holding him back. I believe Josh Hart will be back. And according to reports, what that deal could look like is somewhere in the $18 million per year range. And Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype, like we talked about last week on the show, reported this, that a 4-year, $72 million deal is in the ballpark of what Josh Hart could be looking for. That would make Josh Hart the 20th or around the 20th highest paid small forward in the NBA, and I'm perfectly fine with giving Josh Hart that type of money. 1, because he's young. 2, because he's a good basketball player. And 3, I thought he was really the heartbeat of this team. And once he became a New York Knick, the Knicks became one of the best teams in the NBA, including the playoffs. The Knicks were 23-13 with Josh Hart on this basketball team. They went from losing 9 games in a row to winning 9 games in a row. When you look at the advanced analytics, the Knicks were legitimately one of the best teams in the NBA on the offense and the defensive end when Josh Hart was a member of the Blue and Orange. And the stats, they showed that, and they replicated and showed you why Josh Hart was such an elite player. 10 points per night, 7 rebounds. We know he's one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA. He's also a guy that you can rely on to play make a little bit. Needs to tighten up those turnovers, sometimes a little bit reckless and out of control. But I like that he plays with that energy and effort. But it's the efficiency that really set him apart and really made the Knicks an elite ball club. Over 58% from the field this past season in 25 games played, and almost 52% from downtown. Unfortunately, though, he was not able to replicate that type of efficiency in the playoffs, where I still thought he played really, really well. And I think you can make the argument in that Cleveland Cavaliers series, outside of Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart may have been the 3rd best player for the Knicks in that first round against the Cavs. In totality in the playoffs, he averaged 10.5 points per game, almost 8 rebounds, just over 2 assists. Still efficient from the floor. Anytime you shoot above 46% from the floor, you're doing pretty damn good. But 31% from three. That was an Achilles heel for the Knicks. He talked about it in that sit-down interview with Taylor Rooks that the Knicks lost to the Heat because they couldn't hit shots, and Josh Hart was a part of that. And I'm expecting him to be better next year. One, because he's a hard worker and he's going to grind in this offseason. But two, he is not a finished product. Josh Hart is only 27 years old, and he just finished his first playoff run. He just got a taste of what it's like to play in the NBA playoffs where this sport's lights are the brightest. Josh Hart is going to be better than what he was last year. He's going to continue to get better. This isn't someone that is just boxed into being this type of player that he is right now, which is a really good player. And if he is this guy for the rest of his career, I would be happy about it. No doubt about it. But he is not done. He's going to get better. Who's to say Josh Hart can't become a reliable and consistent 36, 37, 38% shooter from downtown in the postseason? That can absolutely happen. He's 27 years old. He is not even close to the type of player he's going to be when he's 30 or 31 years old. So I want to ask you guys this question before we go and talk about the two players I think Josh Hart was talking about when he said he's been recruiting some guys to New York. But first, answer this. Is Josh Hart worth $18 million per year in NBA free agency? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's too little? What do you think? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you're rocking with down below. We'll get to those recruitment rumors from good old Josh Hart coming up in a second. But first, make sure you guys are hooked up with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Link is right here. Promo code chat125. Make sure you use that, and they'll hook you guys up with a 125% deposit bonus. So if you put $100 into your account, when you go to chatsports.com/bet and you use the promo code chat125, you're going to have 225 bones in your account to game with. You can bet on the NBA Finals. I got the Denver Nuggets winning Game 3, so you can roll with my picks. You can fade my pick over there. Just do it with BetUS because we've got your game. Chatsports.com/bet. Make sure to remember use this link and the promo code if you want to get the deposit bonus. So when Josh Hart was talking to Taylor Rooks in that Bleacher Report sit-down interview, you can go find it on YouTube. Really good. It's like an hour and a half. You get to learn a lot about Josh Hart and his upbringing as a person and becoming a parent and playing in the NBA and what he went through in high school and college. Really good interview. I promise you guys would like it. But in the interview, he said, there are guys I'm trying to get to New York that played at Villanova. And I don't have a problem with this at all. I mean, the more Nova guys, the better. We were already really happy when we signed one Villanova Wildcat this past summer in Jalen Brunson. I was extremely happy when they traded for Josh Hart. I think people started to buy into that belief once they saw Josh Hart put on that blue and orange and wear number 3 and play a couple of games. What about a couple more Villanova Wildcats? What about the big ragu over there, Donte DiVincenzo? I know there's another Villanova Wildcat, Mikal Bridges. Look, the Nets aren't trading Mikal Bridges. It's just not going to happen. There's been multiple reports this offseason that the Brooklyn Nets are not going to make a move and trade Mikal Bridges. And as much as you, Jalen, Josh, Tom Thibodeau, Rick Brunson, as sure as everyone in the New York Knicks organization would love to add the former Villanova Wildcat Mikal Bridges, I unfortunately do not think it is going to happen. But a guy that I do think could sign with the New York Knicks that played for the Villanova Wildcats. What about Donte DiVincenzo? Shout out to Big Nick Energy. Some cool guys over there. They said, could Donte DiVincenzo be the bench shooting option the Knicks need? He is a free agent and could be signed at an affordable price. Why are we showing this tweet? Well, Josh Hart, he liked this tweet. And in the sit-down interview with Taylor Rooks, he pretty much was asked, why'd you like the tweet? And he was like, that's my guy. That's my guy. I love Donte DiVincenzo. And he gave a little smirk at the end like, yeah, I'm definitely recruiting Donte DiVincenzo to come and play for the New York Knicks. But it wasn't just this one tweet. There was another tweet that Josh Hart liked. So he's going on Twitter. He's got a full court press going on right now for Donte DiVincenzo. Bring the big ragu to New York, and let's get the Villanova band back together. And I would love for the Knicks to sign DiVincenzo. I think he fits what they need. I know he's not a superstar. And look, that's not what we're always looking for. But the Knicks could absolutely use a player like DiVincenzo off the bench that shot 39%, almost 40% from downtown last year in 72 games played for the Golden State Warriors. He can handle a little bit. He can create as well, 3.5 assists almost 4 rebounds, plays good perimeter defense, can get out and run in transition, and we've seen him play his best when the lights are the brightest, and those are the type of players that I want to bring to New York. And the fact that he's a Villanova Wildcat means he knows how to play the game the right way, and he's a winning player. And the Knicks could use another bench guard like Donte DiVincenzo. We saw in that Miami Heat series, the Knicks didn't really have, outside of Jalen Brunson, someone that they could really trust to handle the basketball or create shots for someone else. Or what about just another guy as an inbound passer? How many times this season, let alone in the postseason, the Knicks struggled or were one of the worst, if not the worst, inbound teams in the NBA? DiVincenzo would have a great role with the Knicks. He'd be that backcourt mate in the off the bench with Emmanuel Quickley. If you had a bench unit of Emmanuel Quickley, Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, and Isaiah Hartenstein, then you still got Jericho Sims and maybe even Obi Toppin. That's a formidable unit that could carry your team from stretch to stretch. I would love for the Knicks to go out and sign DiVincenzo. He's a hard worker. He plays defense. He plays the game the right way. He could do it all at the point guard spot. And he shot 40% from downtown. The Knicks, they need another shooter and not just a shooter that can only shoot. DiVincenzo, he could do way more than that. So I want to close the show asking this question. Should the Knicks sign Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson's homie Donte DiVincenzo? Should we bring the big ragu to the Big Apple? Type S for sign, type P for pass. I want to hear from you down below. As always, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Knicks Now. Sorry for no live show yesterday. I was at the house past couple of days. Haven't been feeling too well, but we're back in the office today getting you guys news and rumors around the Knicks. Remember, if you ever just want to chop it up about the Knicks, you could do so over on my Twitter at @MarshallGreen_.